All right, let's fire this thing up. Is the trim tab working at all, Bert?
Nothing on this tab, John.
Let me try this other rocker switch. I'm hearing it.
Got sound, got no movement on this tab.
What do you think the problem is?
Well, we either have a bad wire or bad connection on this tab, and this sounds like a stripped gear on this tab.
Well, good deal, you made it. Hi, I'm John Graviscus. This is Bert Dell. Say hello to everybody, Bert. It's great to have you back aboard the craft with us again. And what we're on is our model year 2005. This is a 28-foot Bluewater. And we got the boat about 2 years ago, and the manufacturer installed a set of electric trim tabs on the boat. And they lasted maybe a year and a half, and they're no longer functioning. We have two different issues, but neither trim tab is going up and down. And trim tabs are a pretty cool accessory to have on your boat, and that's what we're going to be talking about today here at Ship Shape TV. I want to go ahead and remove this cover to this hydraulic trim pump in order to show you some 12-volt wiring. Well, thank you, Buck. I need to deal with the current trim tabs that are on my 28-foot Bluewater project boat, and that leads us to our first expert guest, who we have the privilege of having back on the program is a very good friend of mine. This is Fair Himes, and Fair is the marketing director for Bennett Marine. And Bennett's one of the biggest manufacturers of trim tabs in the marine industry. And Fair, thank you for spending some time with us.
My pleasure.
Bert and I were talking about your marketing campaign. You kind of strategized this whole thing, but basically the premise of the campaign, I don't know if you've seen this or not, is there are boat owners that might have a 20, 30, 40-year-old boat, and they've removed everything and replaced everything, retrofitted their boat, except for the fact that they have the original hydraulic Bennett trim tabs.
Right.
And it's a very successful campaign. That's what got you on the program today, because we need to deal with our trim tabs. I want to talk about what the accessory's for. Why does a boat owner like myself need to have a set of trim tabs on the boat?
Well, John, you have to understand what trim tabs are for, which they are a performance-enhancing product that provide lift at the transom of the boat. Now, every boat is designed to run best at a particular speed, generally cruising speed, and lightly loaded, which in the real world is rarely the case, especially with people. They move. So you start out and you're trimmed correctly, and people move around the boat, and the boat will start listing. Or you use the fuel, and the boat's no longer running weighted the same way it did earlier in the day.
Or seat conditions change, all right?
You start out smooth water. Later in the day, the wind picks up and you've got rough seas.
But let's talk about my options. Okay, I could have them serviced, and I could get these things working again.
Right.
I heard that you guys are actually making a retrofit kit to where I could keep my original tab, okay, and I could keep the hinge that is mounted onto the transom, because a lot of people do not want to cut a hole into their boat.
Right.
A lot of people don't want to, or don't know how to properly fill a hole in the transom.
Well, nobody wants to drill holes in their boat. And we would get calls, John, that said, you know, I might want to switch from an electromechanical system to your hydraulic system, but my trim tabs, the stainless steel part, is fine. Is there a way I can just keep that and switch over to your system? The answer is yes. We have a conversion kit where the holes line up at the actuator on the trim plane, the trim tab, for example, and the holes, we have a mounting plate that will match up at the stern.
Okay, let's talk about my current trim tab, okay, on the boat. Looks somewhat like this, but here's an actual trim tab, and the width of my trim tab, the current one, is about 13 inches.
Okay.
Okay, what do you call the width of a trim tab?
That's the span.
Okay, the span of the trim tab, 13 inches.
Right.
The length, how far it's sticking out away from the transom, is about 18 inches. Okay, what do you call the length of a trim tab?
We call that the cord.
Okay. Now, talk to me about the surface area of this trim tab. You can vary the surface area, right?
Well, John, that's the trick when trying to size trim tabs for your boat, is you're really looking at total surface area measured in square inches. So whether it's span or chord, you're looking for the largest trim tab you can comfortably fit on the back of that boat.
Now, could I use your replacement kit on my current setup?
John, you could.
Do you recommend that?
I do not.
Why?
I know that boat. That Bluewater has dual Optimax engines on it. It's made to go fast and it's made to go in rough seas. That boat's going to put a lot of punishment on any trim tabs on that boat. What I would recommend is going with dual Bennett Trim Tab actuators, 2 for each side.
Okay, so rather than the current scenario, I have a single actuator.
Right.
You're actually telling me to remove that, put 2, split them, and spread out that load.
Absolutely. What you're going to have is a more robust system for that Bluewater.
Let's talk about how an electric trim tab works versus one of your hydraulic trim tabs. What's the difference between both these systems?
We both make a system that pushes an actuator. It goes up and it goes down and provides lift. With our system, we chose to put the heart of our system, the hydraulic power unit, inside the boat.
Okay, so this is the pump. It works off of 12-volt electricity. They both work off 12-volt electricity, but rather this pushes hydraulic fluid to the actuator.
Right.
And that's what moves the trim tab up and down.
Absolutely.
Okay? Basically, they both work well, but why should I go with hydraulic?
I would say reliability. If you're looking for a system that's going to last 20, 30 years, a hydraulic system, just like brakes on a car, hydraulic steering in a car, they're inherently more durable.
Okay, so this ad campaign that you have going on, where you have boat owners, these are 40-year-old boats, all right? They've lived their whole lives in saltwater, and they still have the original Bennett Trim Tabs. This isn't bunk. There's real truth to this?
John, those people called and told us their stories. I just chose to put it in an ad campaign.
Fair, let's go with the option. I really like it. Thank you so much. I want to now introduce you to our final special guest. This is Blake Bennett, the president of Bennett Marine. And hello, my friend. How are you?
Hi, John. Just fine, thanks. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is a pleasure to have you on the program. You know, your dad back in 1960 actually invented the adjustable trim tab, and your family has literally revolutionized boating. We've installed a set of your tabs on our 28-foot Bluewater project boat today, Blake, and I want to talk a little bit about maintenance with trim tabs. What do we need to know here?
There's not a lot of maintenance that you have to do on the trim tabs. You want to keep them clean like the rest of your boat. If you want to keep the growth from accumulating on your tabs, then you put anti-fouling paint like you do on your other underwater appendages.
What about sacrificial metals?
Well, if you're keeping your boat in seawater and not trailering it, then we recommend that you put zincs on the tabs.
Okay. You don't want to put the anti-foulant paint, though, in between the actual contact of the zinc coming in touch with the
That's
trim
right.
tab,
You want
right?
the zinc to touch the stainless steel.
You want that zinc to get eaten away by the electrolysis. You don't want the stainless steel getting eaten away. So that's why you want to protect them. What about hydraulic fluid? Do we need to periodically check the hydraulic fluid in your reservoirs or what?
No, that's not necessary. The hydraulic fluid shouldn't ever have to be changed or added to. If for some reason you do, automatic transmission fluid, any type.
I've heard people have used brake fluid. Is that bad?
That's very bad. The brake fluid comes from a different base, and it'll deteriorate the seals in your system.
Excellent advice. Well, Blake, thank you so much
Pleasure.
for your time. We also need to thank Fair Hines, as well as the rest of the staff out at Bennett Marine. But you know what? The most important one that we need to thank here, hey, that's right, it's been you. Thanks so much for hanging out with us for the last half hour right here on the beautiful water's edge. But we've got to go. But how about this? How about until we see each other again, can you do yourself a favor? Can you get out there and make your boat ship shape? Of course you can. I'm John Graviscus. This is Blake Bennett. We'll see you next time. Hey, Blake, I want to talk to you a little bit about my favorite